Hi, Matt Lairden again with the Market Mindset Podcast. Today we have Ryan Smith. His real estate practice is located up north from us in Ontario, Canada, and he and his partner Nicole are experts in hyper local farming in the world of real estate. What's really fascinating about Ryan and his partner Nicole is that they've moved 3 times over, say, the last 6, 7 years, and each time they've had to sort of reestablish their presence in the market that they're in, specifically in real estate. And he is the founder of the expertagentgroup.com. He's also a coach and a trainer at launchyourfarm.com. Again, we talked to a lot of successful real estate agents across a wide platform, a wide diversified area of real estate. And his focus is on really maximizing the return out of your farming area. Successful real estate agents, successful business people in general, know how to duplicate and scale their business. And Ryan is an expert in that. So it's just was a pleasure talking to him. He's, old school, but hyper focused on having a really strong presence within the community. And the business naturally gravitates to him and his partner, Nicole. So I hope you enjoy this hyper local farming with Ryan Smith. Hey, today, so happy, Ryan. Thank you for joining us. Ryan Smith, he's with Keller Williams, north of the border, the Edge office. He specializes in geographic farming, which is so interesting to me. And hey, Ryan, first of all, just say thank you for carving out time out of your day to join us. Tell us a little bit about your business, how you got started, and something you wanted to let us know about what you do.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll give you the quick story of who I am and why I'm here. So I'm a licensed agent myself. I've been in the business for 16 years. I started my business. I moved 3.5 hours away. So I had a crappy relationship. I moved away to get away and just kind of start over. And I was 25 years old and I was just out of college. I moved 3.5 hours away. I knew nobody except for my aunt and uncle. I just wanted that fresh start. Moved up there, learned the business. I started on a team, learned the business from an amazing mentor and an amazing boss, and did that for about 2 years. And I learned all different strategies, different things, different tactics and things. And then I ended up meeting someone else, and then I got in a relationship, and I moved again for love. So one was against love, and one was for love.
It
So
works.
exactly. So I moved. And then I literally knew nobody again. So I moved to another area. I had to start all over again. I had to learn the business. I had to take some of the things I learned that worked in the previous 2 years and then apply that. Then I was there for a few years. I think it was about 4 years there. And then my mom got sick. So I ended up moving closer to be back to my family. Packed up, moved my business again. And then what I realized was the day-to-day of real estate I didn't enjoy as much as helping other agents. So at my previous office, I was doing training. I was the tech ambassador at the office and I was helping other agents. And I started realizing that for me, there was a more passion for me helping other agents see the potential in their business. And I ended up becoming the productivity coach at our office when I moved the third time. And I started coaching agents and training agents. And I started to see a number of patterns, a lot of things that agents were doing right, things that agents were doing wrong. And through coaching agents from brand new agents to high level agents, I started seeing some of these things. So wanted to try some of the strategies that I thought would work well. I took kind of the observations of all the things I've learned over the years and I started farming. And I started doing geographic farming with a business partner.
Physical geographic farming?
Yeah, so I'll get into more on
Okay,
what that looks
great.
like and how we do that because I do it differently than most because a lot of agents have a different misconception on it. So I took all those things and I said, hey, let's put this together. Let's try this. So just for reference, I was new to the area. I hadn't had any sales in the area we farmed. I had only had a couple sales under my belt in the area overall. But the actual area we farmed, there was no experience, no connections, no nothing. And I started applying these strategies. And with it, so we started in September, and January we got our first listing. And from January over the next 15 months, we ended up doing 17 transactions
Oh,
in an
wow.
area that I had no experience in, no nothing. And then I ended up selling that business off to my partner. And then I realized after doing that, I'm like, I want to go back to that coaching. And rather than, again, going back to the day-to-day stuff, I started shifting my attention, building up some things on how to do coaching. So about 4 years ago, literally 2 months before COVID hit, I launched my coaching business. To my surprise, COVID hit and kind of changed the trajectory of everyone's life, I think. And the last 4 years, I've been helping agents with their geographic farming and really helping them realize the potential of what they could do with doing farming in a different way and teaching agents how to do farming at a high level. So,
Right, right.
and,
And perfect example, you've been to three different geographical locations, met with a wide variety of different agents. It sounds like you observed, took some notes, saw what was working, what wasn't working.
yep,
Um, you didn't have any spheres of influence really in any of the communities you went to,
yeah.
if I'm not. And did you ever the traditional route with all these major coaching companies out there, the father coach, the son coach, call for sale by owners, call expired
Yeah.
listings, call the neighbors have just listed, just sold. Not, door knock, hand out refrigerator magnets and notepads, advertise on bus benches, advertise on, grocery carts. You took a little bit of a different approach and took the accumulate. I mean, we are the sum of our experiences.
Yep.
It sounds like you really boiled it down, but you had that successful experience implementing this as an individual agent. And did I get that correctly?
So it was a partnership. So I had a business partner
Okay.
that we worked together and we did it then. So I had actually tried farming in the past and I failed miserably because I did all the other things that everyone tried to do, the things that people said to do, send out a bunch of postcards, advertise yourself in the area, and I failed miserably. And my first farm was a colossal flop. And that's part of what is like, it drove me away from farming the first few years of my career because I'm like, this isn't what I want to do. And then when I learned what you could make it, that's when I started to see the potential. And then, so I'll add on that then I moved 3 years ago again. So it's 4 times in my career. I've had to restart over.
Right.
Luckily, this time, the fourth time I moved with my life partner, Nikki, we moved back to my hometown. So she's not from the area. She has no connections. And so she's now running her own farm. And I'm there as support, but I mean, the day-to-day thing, the day-to-day operation, she's doing that. So she's taken a lot of the strategies and
Is she
techniques
an
that I've
active
taught.
agent or is she more
She
helping you in
is.
your
Yeah, no, she
okay.
she she does all the day-to-day. I literally I'm just there for moral support and give her some strategies here and there. So she does that. But what I've learned was there's a different way to do farming. And what most agents think of farming is, in my experience, not the right thing, not the right way of seeing it. And what happens is because of that, they end up doing the wrong things or just don't get started at all. So there's kind of things we could dive into the way I see farming and kind of the methods and the strategies if you want. And we're happy
Please share,
to
because
go
this
anywhere you want.
audience that we have it's market mindset. All right. And we hope agents are coming here. I love that, that you've taken your experience, funneled them down per se, and are now sharing them with others. And I think that interaction with other real estate agents gives you a lot of experience and different perspectives to draw on and sort of tailor. I got to ask you though, when she's home, do you talk real estate, or is there a certain time where you cut off real estate at home?
We try to. The kids help us distract us that way. If we didn't have kids, I think it would be all real estate all the time. But
Right,
yeah, we both work from home. I'm on the main floor. She has an office upstairs, so at least gives us some separation. But
right.
it's a lot of real estate. But
Yeah, a lot of real
yeah,
estate. Well,
I like it.
those kids probably grow up just eating, breathing, drinking real estate. We'll see
Yeah,
what happens to them. Let's
exactly.
circle back though to your experience and what's working with the
Sure.
agents that you're working. Do you offer a coaching platform for real estate agents?
Yep. So we have a few different strategy or different packages and things. We can dive into that later if you want.
Okay,
I can dive into it, but I want to start with explaining my thoughts on farming. I think it might be a good place to
I
start. Then we
love it.
can unpack it. So
Absolutely, take the lead.
when it comes to farming, I think it's important to know what farming is, and it's also just as important to know what farming isn't. And a lot of mistakes that agents make is they think that farming is about getting your name out there. They think it's about sending out a bunch of postcards. They think it's about just trying to tell as many people who you are and that you're in business. And the reality is those are strategies that you can do in the business, but that's not what farming is at its core. So what I notice through my own workings, through my own interviewing. I have a podcast as well where I interview agents all over about farming and working with agents. I started looking for trends, and that's one of the things I do. I like to see like what things keep coming up, and there's kind of three key principles, and I call it it's the lifeblood of farming, and I call it CPR, and it stands
Okay.
for community, positioning, and relationships. And anyone who's had a good farm, a very successful farm, whether they know it or not, have those three key things in it. So the first thing is community. And really, it starts with having a focus on the community itself rather than the transaction. And most agents are transaction minded, transaction focused, and they're just looking for that next deal. And the agents who've done extremely well, myself included, is you have to look at the community and how you can serve the community. So when you put the community ahead of the transaction, it completely changes what you do, why you do it, and how you do it, and it opens it up to a whole different opportunities, a whole new world of opportunities that you never thought possible. So that's the first most important step to get started. So and
Okay.
it's critical.
Community centered, community focused. Number one.
Yep. Next one is positioning.
Okay.
So what we want to do is learn to position ourselves effectively. And we do that in two ways. So the first is position yourself as an expert and then position yourself as the ambassador. And when we learn to do that, they work well together and it helps elevate your expertise. And when I say an expert, what I don't mean is you don't have to have sold the most of homes. You don't have to have sold any homes in the area to learn to position yourself as an expert. So like I mentioned in our farm, we were new to the area. I hadn't farmed in the area. I hadn't had any sales, let alone the most sales. But what we did was we positioned ourselves as the community experts. So our branding was about the neighborhood. It was the Orchard Real Estate team. It wasn't Ryan Smith Real Estate. It wasn't Keller Williams. It wasn't about Ryan's awesome, Ryan's the best. It was the Orchard Real Estate team. So we created a logo, we created a brand, we created a whole image of that we serve and specialize in the neighborhood. And I remember very distinctly on our first appointment, we showed up to the appointment in our very first listing, and she said, "Well, you guys are the experts, so you tell me what I should do." Because we learned to position ourselves. So that's one way you can position yourself as an expert. We also learned the area inside and out. We knew every street, we knew every park, we knew every school, we knew the builders, we knew the floor plans. We studied it, we learned it. We became experts and we learned the inventory. We knew what was going on. Before we'd even sold a home, we were really getting involved and understanding that. So we can position ourselves as the expert. You can do that in multiple ways. I'm not going to dive into too many ways too much now, but you want to learn to position yourself as the expert. And when you do that, you build more trust, you build more credibility, people want to work with you. Then to enhance that, you then become the ambassador for the area. And what you want to do is, again, be community focused and think about the community itself and think, how can I help the community? How can I bring value and bring as much to this community as I can? And when you become the ambassador, it's like fighting for the underdog, where you start to really champion causes. You start to notice opportunities that every other agent skips over because they're only focused on the transaction.
Transaction. Yeah.
Exactly. So then now people start to see you as, okay, this person knows a lot. This person is community focused and they actually care about us in the community. It now builds trust with people on a whole different level. So that's positioning. And if you understand the positioning, now you can start to look for way more opportunities. And then the last part is relationships. And at the end of the day, that's what farming is about. The outcome of what we are looking for in farming is not the transaction. That's a byproduct. It's relationship. So it's building new relationships or strengthening the relationships you have. So everything we do, all of our marketing, all of our prospecting, all the things we do should be to either build new relationships or strengthen the relationships we have. So when you look at farming as a whole and you look through that lens, now you start to see way more opportunities, way more ways to stand out and do things differently. But you have to see it that way. If you're just looking at the transaction itself, it becomes very, very mundane and very hard to really stand out.
Right. And the focus, yeah, I mean, and I'm sort of guilty of that when I'm doing some coaching out there. People say, well, how much dollar volume are you doing? Well, my thing has always been I don't care about the dollar volume as much as the number of transactions because
Yep.
we all live in different geographical areas with different home prices.
Yep.
But I think if I'm hearing you correctly, is that you spent a substantial amount of time building this base, becoming the ambassador. I love that word, ambassador, for your
Yep.
community. And the byproduct is real estate and
Exactly.
transactions. Or so, I mean,
Exactly.
if I'm hearing people coming to you, will you list my home?
That's exactly. And that's where it became where it was a no-brainer. And we were competing against agents who were doing 200, 300, 400 deals a year. And we were taking deals because people are like, okay, you care about us. You care about this community. You know this community better than anyone else. Yeah, they may have a lot of sales, but they don't know this area or they don't know this community. And it really changed how we stood out. And when you do that right, people can see the difference. And then it becomes your listing presentations become easier. The objections disappear. The people looking for you specifically, like people come out of the woodwork looking for you, but it takes that time and energy to really do that. So you have to be open to thinking differently than most.
And you're playing the long game here. I mean, it sounds like you're absolutely playing the long game.
Yes and no. So one of the things that one of the mantras I say is you have to think long term, but act short term.
Okay.
And for a lot of agents, myself included, I believed that farming takes a long time to get results. And we've probably heard it, and I'm sure you've heard it, or I'm sure your audience has heard it, that expect a year to 2 years before you start to see results. Because what happens is most agents, when they think of farming or do farming, they do most those traditional style of farming, which is sending out a bunch of postcards with your name on it and your face on it and hoping that someone remembers you and hoping that someone goes, okay, this person sent me 26 postcards. I'm now ready. So when you are playing the long game, you want to get some quick wins. And this is why we were able to get results within a few months and start to get traction. And then you work that and start to grow. And if you do it right, it's a consistent game. It's not just a long game. It's just consistency is going to win over time, and you can get results quick, but then you're going to build a massive tsunami down the road as well.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. So, I mean, transactions pay the bills. I mean,
100%.
I mean,
100%.
and it's not like we're some highly capitalized, corporation out there with, hedge fund money
Yeah.
supporting it. We still
Yep.
have to pay the bills, but in the meantime, it sounds like you're playing the long game, but you're getting short term. It had immediate dividends. It
And
sounds
the
like.
great thing too is also is a lot of the strategies that agents have been taught are very expensive. And so the ones that they misunderstand on how to do it, they spend their money on the wrong things. And I've had agents come to me countless times, all the time, that people are like, I tried farming. I spent I just did a training the other day, and she's like, I literally dropped $1,700 over the last 3 months and got nothing from it. So what I teach is how to do it effectively, how to do it cost effectively, how to do it time effectively, and learn to stack your strategies. So that's one of the things I talk about is strategy stacking and learning to layer your strategies together so you can build a much more sustainable business long term rather than just doing one strategy or one approach and then hoping that it works. It's learning to do the things that work well together and getting more out of what you do.
Yeah, I love that word stack. As you can see back here, I'm in the middle of reading the Innovation Stack by McKelvey,
Nice.
and it's just exactly what layering.
Yeah,
Layering super important. Um, you, how big is your farming area for those agents out there who are any
sure.
part of the country north of us? How big of a territory are you working at?
Yeah. So when we did our original farm, we there was 3,600 homes, and so I'll add to that is my belief is that your farm really isn't the area that you're focusing on. Your farm is the database you build from that. So I would say your
Oh,
area funnels your farm, and your real farm becomes the people that put their hand up, that you have their names of, you have their phone numbers, you have they know you, they get information from you. That is your real farm. So
okay.
you can have a large farm, you can have a small farm if you're focused, my focus has always been how many people can I grow and add to that database, and not so much how many people are in the actual farm I'm focusing on. To put it in perspective, though, uh, we went from 3,600 homes to 450 people that were in our database, and those people we loved on. Those are the people we spent our time and attention on. Those are the people we spent the extra money on. Those are the people we made the extra calls to. Our whole goal for the other people was to get them into our database. So
Okay.
our real farm was the smaller number. Currently now, Nikki, her farm, we live in a town of 30,000 people, so there's about 10,000 homes. We have two kind of key areas that we focus on. There's 1,100 homes in one area and about 800 in there. But overall, our database, we have about 1,200 people from the overall area that we've built and added to
How'd
our.
you get them? I know funnels are really important, are popular. Lead magnets are popular. I mean, where are these individuals that are coming into your database? How are they getting there? If you don't mind me or
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
sharing that with
So
us.
I would say for us, when I say I know, our biggest lead generator was we called it neighborhood home price report. So that was how we got people on our report, or how we got into most people in our database. What we did was we created a monthly report that went out. There was listings in there, but it was more focused on the community itself. So there was events that were going on, there was stories, there was tips, there was good information about what's happening in the community. There was just great all kinds of great resources there, and we still do that today. So we use that as our lead generator. We use that as
Okay.
our lead warm up. We use it as our lead conversion, and we use it as our long term follow up system. So we would get when we started, my old partner and I would do it in our area. We would get about 25% of the people we would speak with, we would add to our database. Nikki, my partner, now she is phenomenal with people. We just did her numbers for last year was 50 or 49% of the people that she spoke with, she would add to the database. So she's phenomenal at selling the report, getting people onto it, and getting people to participate. So that's our biggest source of lead generation for that. And then from that, we then funnel those people into leads themselves. So we get people to put their hands up through different calls to actions in the report. Through our follow up, we do community events, which is another way to get people into our funnel as well. So we kind of have like I said, we stack our strategies and have a mix of ways of reaching people. But our absolute biggest growth machine is the report.
The report. Now, is that something that's handed out door to door, or is that? I mean, how do you physically get that? It, my parents lived in a neighborhood. They called it the green sheet, and everyone, even if they don't want to sell, they have no plan. They always do. This is the name. This is the track. This is the
Yeah.
home. This is the price per square foot. Oh, my house is worth X. Is it? It sounds
Not
like
it's not like that, and it is. And
okay.
so basically, what we do is we send it to people that want it. We don't send it to everybody. And this is again where most people traditionally do farming. Just keep sending things to people that haven't requested it, don't have permission to follow up with them. They just blast out stuff. We do things up front to try to get people to put their hand up, and we do our marketing and our resources are try to get people to put their hand up. But the long-term follow-up, the monthly plan is to the people who put their hand up. So the 450 people. So when we originally did it, what we did was a hard copy. So what we did was I don't have actually I might still have a copy here, but we had a binder. So it was
Okay.
an actual binder, and we would print off each month, and we would print off the listings and what they've sold for. We would do our newsletter would go in there, and our like value add or call to action would go in there. We'd put it into a folder, into a manila folder, and we would hand deliver them. So initially they get the binder once, and then we say, hey, what we want to do is hold on to this binder, and we're going to give you the updates each month. And each month we're going to be hole punch ready for you to go. You just got to drop them in the binder, and they would hold on to this binder. And what magically happened was over the years, people would keep filling that binder up, keep filling that binder up, and we'd go to an appointment, and there's the binder right on the desk, or they'd have us over for a listing presentation, and there's the binder on their dresser. And that became something that people will hold on to rather than a postcard they would just throw away or some cheap flyer. They're just like, that's not interested. The intention when I designed it was I wanted them to keep it, and I wanted them to keep something because there's a lot more value in physical things than digital. Now, what happened was we basically maxed out how much time we could drop them off. Now, another agent that I coach, he still does that. He's 7 years into this. He makes between $200,000 and $300,000 a year from his farm, and he just mails them out religiously. His admin takes care of it. She just sends it out every month. But we've switched to digital, so we do a digital report, and for a number of reasons, we can do more. We can reach more people, and we can do more with like video and more kind of widgets and add on more stuff. But
Yeah.
really, it goes to the people that have requested it, and that's how we follow up with them.
What I really like about what you just said is in the physical class, you had people raise their hand saying, I want this.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, for me, someone that's interested like that, that's enrolled, that volunteers, that wants to be part of it, it's better than that shotgun approach of just
Exactly.
blasting these things out
Mhm.
and waiting. I mean, you're sort
And
of pre-qualifying by interest.
exactly. And
It's
I'll tell you the number because we tracked that too. So when we did the report initially, we tracked the turnover rate. So if you guys don't know, it's the number of homes that sold in the year divided by how many homes are in the area. So we had about I think it was like a 5.6%, 5.7% turnover rate. So what we tracked was we tracked the average turnover rate for the whole area. And then we went through the report, and everyone who's on that report, we tracked for the year of the people that were on the report, whether they bought or sold with us. Just we wanted to see, did they sell? And the people that were on the report were 2.5 times more likely to make a move because the turnover rate was 2.5 times higher than the actual the turnover rate as a whole. So just by getting people to put their hand up, we know we're at least double more likely to find someone in that group than we are the general population. So it's a much more efficient way to find people to connect with them. And then I'm not trying to love on 3,600 people. I only had to focus on 450 people and put my
yeah,
attention into that.
yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you're very data focused.
I am because I'm the data nerd. But you can do it without having to do that. That's just that gets me excited. I love to track and learn and figure things out.
I'm right there with you. Give me an Excel. I mean, besides the wheel, I think the spreadsheet's the second greatest invention ever. I mean,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And I love spreadsheets. I love data. I love manipulating data. And you're using it to really just very narrowly focus your business, which I love. So talking about business, yeah, listings versus buy side representation. What's your business mix?
We're mostly, I would say, we're heavier on listings now. 5, 6 years ago, I was a lot more doing a lot more internet leads and social media type stuff, and we've gone back to the roots of listings. So, like right now, we've got 3 active listings and 2 active buyers. So I'd rather spend the time listing. The nice thing is when you do it well, the listings take care of the buyers itself, so we're not having to go after and find new buyers because that's why we have it. So it's nice to have the listings, and it's a lot easier, especially with I know in the States with all the rule changes, it's going to be a lot trickier for people. So I would be rather be listings focused as well.
List to list to last, right?
Exactly.
List to last. So you're
Exactly.
saying right now you've got 3 listings, you got 2 buy side agreements. I know this NAR DOJ thing. It's got people all in I think it's the younger agents, the newer agents that are really panicked. I talk to a lot of agents every day, and the experienced agents are like, my clientele's so baked in, they know what to do. I mean, I basically say, hey, if I'm, and if the successful teams, and not, people like teams, people don't like teams, but, a good team has a buyer's agent, and that's where you
Yep.
cut your teeth.
Yep.
Out there representing buyers, and you get to know the business. Do you host your own open house? Do you do open houses?
We do. We when we were doing our farm, originally, we would do open houses on anybody's. So it's like hey, if you have a listing in our office, if we had a listing in our neighborhood, we would be asking to do that because I want to get our signs up. So we have branded signs for our neighborhood. So we've got our team branding on there, and we get as many out as we can. So we have 20 signs. Like we want to get them out as much as possible. And I know it works because we would do an open house and people would be like, oh yeah, you have a list. I saw your sign over on Sutton Drive. And I was like, no, we don't have a listing on Sutton. You saw our open house sign. So it creates visibility and it helps people remember you versus just
Right, and
one-off
you've got
listings.
that name recognition too. That's
Exactly.
so important. I uh, the best advertising, and I'm paraphrasing the first original coach, real estate coach, at least in my world. He said the best advertising is a sold sign. The best advertising, the worst advertising is a listing that you take that's overpriced with unrealistic expectations,
Yeah.
and it sits there on market for 6 months.
Yep.
Worst advertising possible. So it's better not to take that listing
Yep.
than to take a listing that's way overpriced and sort of has a negative connotation to it.
Yep.
So that's great. And so you've rephrased farm, and your farm is your database. And I love that. The traditional says, in my place, it's between, Century 21 has an agent, your territory, Spring to Wardlow, Palo Verde over to Woodruff, and you just work that area.
No,
And
we work the area. That's like, don't get me wrong. We pick
okay,
an absolute area. We are hyper focused on a specific geographic area. It's just the marketing, what we do and the attention we put is to that area to drive them into our database. So the farm that we really focus on is that I would say that the area that we farm is the feeder for our database, and that's our main focus. So we
right.
100% pick an area. I'm all about sub branding yourself. Like I teach agents how to do an umbrella brand and then have some sub brands if you do that be the expert in that neighborhood. And one of the things I talk about all the time is I'd rather have 5 signs in one neighborhood than one sign in 5 neighborhoods. And when you're spread out and you're not getting the reach, it's way better to be hyper focused, way better to have the eyeballs and the attention and the relationships in a specific area than all over. And we live in an area, people don't know I live outside the Toronto area, the GTA. So GTA is like 3.6 million people. And then
Oh,
there's
wow.
kind of like
Okay.
little areas around. And there are agents who will be like, oh, I work all across the GTA. I'll go here, I'll go here, I'll go here, I'll go here. And they're like an hour and a half away, 2 hours away. I'm like, I hate that. Like, I don't want to go more than 15 minutes. Like our farm that we farm now is literally 8 minutes from here. I'm like, I don't want to drive farther than that because I don't want to waste my afternoon of my time. So
No,
I
exactly.
like being hyper focused. So yeah, our area is hyper focused that way, but the approach is not, we're not trying to get our message to everybody in the farm. We're trying to get our message to get people to put their hand up. And then our main message is to those people that put their hand up.
Uh, Social media. What's your opinion of social media? Do you use it in your business? I know the buzzword out there, and you mentioned it, funnels. Do you have a lead magnet that comes into place, or online, that gets people into your funnel?
Yeah, we do some social media. We did more of it, and it's so washed out. There's so many people who've tried different things, and there's a lot of people competing for your time and attention on there. I would say if you use social media, the one channel that I would use from a farming perspective is Facebook groups. Facebook
Okay.
groups are one of the best avenues to get out there because they're like real-time conversations. People are chatting. It's not you pushing your message out there. It's people answering questions, asking questions, posting things. And because you can get hyper local in your community, you can literally create a Facebook group for your area and be hyper focused with that. So Facebook groups is a big area on where we spend our time. But I mean, yeah, you can use social media. It's just depends on what approach you're doing and how you do it.
Right. Yeah,
It's not
there's no
our
one
number one.
perfect approach. Obviously, you found a niche. I'm a big believer, expand your net, not your niche.
Yep.
Um, and it sounds like that niche for you is really working. You're, listening to buy side. I love it. Outside of real estate, people moving to your area, where are they coming from?
So they're coming from the GTA. So we're getting people moving from Toronto down through. We're in the on Lake Ontario and then Lake Erie. So they're moving that way, and we're kind of at the end of the road because we're in Fort Erie, which is there's literally us and then the states. So it's kind of people are just shuffling their way down. So most of it's GTA buyers and then displacing people along the way and coming down our
Got
way.
it. Got it. Um, Book you're reading right now? What's something you're reading that you'd want to recommend or you're finding value in?
I am going back. I've got a stack of them, so I tried to pick one that I am reading. I am reading Alex Hormozy's book, his
Okay.
$100 million leads. Awesome book. His first book is awesome. I love his stuff. I eat up his stuff just so much. So if you're into marketing and sales and you want lead generation ideas, this is like amazing,
I love
amazing
it.
resource.
That's
So
Alec Harmon. Yeah,
Alex
pronounce his name.
Hormozy.
I see him
Yeah,
everywhere on social
yeah,
media. Got
yeah,
a really great story.
yeah.
Next big vacation. If do you guys take vacations?
Yes, we haven't. It's been a while. We're trying to go down. We're going to be going down to Florida, probably this fall or this spring. So
All right, you're gonna winter in Florida.
that is the goal. So that's the long-term goal.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
We talked about sports. I think Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Tiger Cats. Yep.
Do you follow them?
I don't. I'm more of I like the Toronto Raptors, so
Okay,
basketball, and then because we're in Fort Erie, we have the Buffalo Bills. So football wise, that's the sports team that
real
I follow.
good, real good. How do people get a hold? I love your strategy. I love your outreach. I love the pivot that you made.
Hmm.
I mean, what a testament. I mean, three different areas. You had to adjust, refocus, and you took, I guess, the cream of the crop of thoughts, put them together, packaged them, made them work, and now you're working with others, giving back.
Yep.
I love that. How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best way is to kind of kill two birds with one stone would be join my Facebook group. So I've
Okay.
got a Facebook group for farming, and just we do live webinars, we do training. There's tips, tricks in there. So it's the expert agent. So if you go to Facebook groups, you go to Facebook group, just type in the expert agent. You'll see the group there. We've got a little logo there. You'll find us in there. I'm at almost 800 agents in there now. We're really focusing on growing that and building that out. And this year is going to be a really big push for that. So we're going to be doing live training each week, lots of different content in there. And then you can connect with me and see what I'm about there and find out a lot about what we're
I
working on.
love it. I love it. Well, I hope you admit me. I went through the
I
screening
just saw that
today.
before. Yeah, yeah.
So, count me in. I know you probably got a pretty extensive vetting process to keep the quality.
Yeah. And that's
I might.
we only allow agents in there, and yeah, we definitely don't allow spamming. So you'll
Perfect.
be
I
good. That's
love it.
good.
I love it. That's one key to Facebook groups. It's just really diligently mo- uh, watching out who you let in.
Yeah,
Go for quality, not quantity.
exactly.
And Ryan, I appreciate you taking the time. I love that you've got a business. She's upstairs, you're
Yeah,
downstairs. Family business, and maybe we'll connect in Florida when you make it down there.
for sure. Absolutely. Would love that.
Thanks again for taking time out of your schedule. I know you're busy. I know time management is really important to you. Data is important to you. Thanks again. And we'll talk again soon.
Awesome.